Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Mr. Wiz here. If you are new to this channel, we build video games. Right now we are working through a series on Unity. So we've put several videos out there teaching you different things that you can use to build pretty cool FPS micro games. Before we move on to the next lessons, I thought it'd be important to show you how to publish these games. Because after all, if you're going to make a pretty cool game, you want to be able to share it with people, right? So let's talk about how all that works. Okay. So right here you can see the game that I built, and I added the dual weapons with the shotguns that shoot daggers, because why not? So let's say that I'm all done with the game and I'm ready to share it with the world. There's a couple different ways I could do that depending on how I wanted to publish this game. So let me close it out. Up here at the top, now just to keep in mind, I am using the 2022 LTS version. So if your version is a little bit different, sometimes the layout might look a little bit different. But for the most part, the same features should be there. So you'll notice up here at the top, there is a button that says Publish, and that's great. Right now, mine is publishing to WebGL. If you don't see this, that just means that you don't have yours set up to WebGL. But we'll talk about that in a second. So File, Build Settings. This is really the important part, the build settings. This is where you adjust how you want your game to work when it's published. So when I click on build settings, this is what it takes me to. I've got my scenes, the intro, the win scene, the lose scene, and the main scene. Something interesting to note about these, on the right-hand side, I want you guys to see these numbers, 0, 1, 2, and 3. Those numbers are important. Basically, we're treating each scene almost like it was a different level in the game. So the most important one is the 0 level. Whichever scene is scene 0, that's the one that's going to start when the game starts. Now, since this was a tutorial that I was building in, it already had it set up the way it should be set up. But I want you to notice the 0 one is the intro menu, the title page. So your game will always start with that title page. So if you're building your own game somewhere else and you have a certain order you need things to start in, whichever scene you want to be the starting scene, you have to make sure it is scene 0. And if it's not, you can rearrange these. You can drag them up, down, wherever you need to put them, right? But other than that, the other numbers aren't super important because the way the code's written, on the intro scene, if you click start, it's going to take you to the main scene, right? And if you win, it will take you to the win scene. If you lose, it will take you to the lose scene. Now, if you add additional levels in here, you would just have to adjust the code so that when you complete certain things, it takes you to that scene, right? And I guess at some point I might show you guys how to do that, but we won't be doing that right now. Okay. So on the left-hand side over here, this is where it shows us what we're publishing to. So right now, the first one here says Windows, Mac, or Linux. I think in some of the older versions, it said PC and Mac. So depending on what version you're using, if you're not using the 22 version like I am, it might look a little different over here. There's dedicated server. That's pretty cool. That wasn't on the old ones. WebGL is the one that allows you to build it online. And then there are other options. Android, iOS, PS4, PS5. All these things, right? Xbox used to be on here. Why don't I see Xbox anymore? Huh. I know the 2020 version had Xbox on it. But yeah. So you would select the one you're going to build it on, and then you would have to build it. Now you'll notice some of these are grayed out because I have to download the mod to use them. So that's why it says no iOS module loaded, install with Unity Hub, right? So in the Unity Hub, where your installs are, you can also download mods. Let me see if I remember where they are. Where are the mods? Oh, here we go. So behind the version, where you have, I have several versions here, because I've used several of these in the classes that I teach. But I can go to Add Modules, and you can find the different things here. So if I wanted to do one with Android, I can download Android support there. I can download Mac support, Linux support, TV iOS. So you just have to make sure you have the right module for what you're doing. All right, let's get back to the game. So if you download to the computer, there are some settings you would need to adjust. Right here, it has some basic stuff, which I don't usually mess with these very often. These are usually pretty good for their default settings. In the player settings, there is a couple things that I do change pretty regularly if I download to a computer. So the main thing that I change is the resolution and presentation section. So right here, full screen mode. be careful with this one. I usually leave it at windowed. I find that that works best. But some of these full screen ones, the problem is if you use some of these and you go to play your game, it will take over literally the entire screen. And you can't close the game or minimize it, right? So that's why I prefer windowed. I also like to select the one down here that says resizable window. So I'll usually check that on. It's not checked on by default, but I will check that on. And that allows you to make it full screen, but not permanently, right? So when I go to open my game, it'll start off as a small window. I can click the full screen button and it becomes full screen, but I can shrink it. I can close it. I can hide it and get rid of it and get back to my computer stuff if I need to. So if you're going to build to the PC, that would be my suggestion to you, is to make sure full screen mode is set to windowed and resizable is set on. Resizable window is set on. All right. So I'm not actually going to build the PC right now. I'm going to do the WebGL version instead. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And the first thing I want you to notice is it doesn't let me build it yet. Instead, it has a button here that says Switch Platform. And that's because I'm currently set to PC. You'll see the Unity symbol right there next to Windows Max Linux. So I need to switch it over to the WebGL platform. This can take several minutes. Switching platforms can take a bit of time. As frustrating as it can be to have to wait for it to transfer everything over, it's still very awesome that we have this ability. One of the things that I love about Unity is the fact that you can build a game once and then you can move it onto different systems. So you can put it on PS4 or you can put it on Android and you can change it after you build it. You can convert it to work on different consoles, which is really cool. It's one of the great things about Unity for game design. You don't have to build a game for just one console. You can build a game that works on multiple consoles. Pretty cool. All right, looks like this is just about done. I'll probably fast forward through this last bit here. We should now be ready to build. So now that I've converted to WebGL, let's try this publish button for the WebGL project. And it's going to go ahead and build and publish. When you click build and publish, what it does is it builds the web version of your game and then it puts it onto play.unity.com, which is Unity's online video game playing platform. So once you do that, it will put it online. I should mention one other thing. For 2022, it has a fun little feature here. So when you go to build your game online, for large games, you may run into a problem where your game is too big, where it has to be under a certain size. I think in the past, I've had problems where games were bigger than 300 megabytes. It wouldn't let me put it online. The main reason games get too big is because their graphics are too good quality, right? A lot of times their textures, their images, they're using 4K images when they don't need to, things of that nature. So 2022 version came out with this fun thing here to make it easier for you, where you can set a maximum size to textures. So if your game ends up being too big to put online, I can reduce the maximum allowed texture size, and I can also change the compression. And that allows me to make the game lower quality, basically, right? I'm reducing the quality of the game so that it becomes small enough that I can put it online. And I just absolutely love that. So I want to make sure you guys were aware of that. Okay. So that's it. When you do the build and publish, it takes several minutes, and then it will publish directly into play.unity.com, where it will be attached to your Unity account, your Unity username. And of course, you can share links with people, as I believe I've shared my original FPS with you guys in a previous video. You can do that once you publish it online. So I'll go ahead and end this video here. And then in the next video, we will start our actual lessons, where I'll show you guys all the nitty-gritty stuff about building in Unity. I hope you learned something new today. If you did, please click that like button. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. And I will see you guys in a future video. Take care.